where the approach to many feel the same as if it were from the industrial side. That is a sense of imposition or trying to impose a set of values on communities that First Nations must be in the driver's seat. And we at the AFN really support the creation of a toolkit that will include a screening tool that can assist First Nations in engaging carbon offset projects. This would be very useful to inform our communities of the project options that are available to them, as well as obviously to assess viability and value associated with potential projects. I can add that a National Advisory Committee on Carbon Finance has been established through the Assembly of First Nations Environmental Stewardship Unit, and this committee will assist First Nations by providing information that's related to carbon and emissions market. There will be supportive materials developed, such as legal guidance documents, sample budgets, and examples of similar projects. And finally, we're very supportive of the planning and execution of a First Nations Carbon Conference that could be held to provide opportunities for First Nations to continue, as is the case here, to engage in a dialogue that's related to carbon projects and the carbon market and the establishment of a First Nations Carbon Working Group moving forward. We want First Nations to have every opportunity not only to be involved in this new work and these opportunities, but to be leaders as Indigenous peoples, not just here in Canada, as we are by holding an International Energy and Mining Summit this coming June 27th to the 29th in Niagara Falls. There's this sense that we absolutely must take a leadership role in shaping a vision in these areas. This goes back to the role that we've all inherited as Indigenous peoples to care for the land and to ensure that we make every effort to return to a sense of balance with our relationship with the environment around us. So with that, really thanking all of you, especially our organizers, for pulling this together, and for me personally the chance to offer some thoughts and reflections and to wish everyone the best of luck with the upcoming webinars. So true. Teko, teko, the deepest of thanks for the opportunity here. Now, I'm not sure how we're structured here, if there's an opportunity or an interest in someone is helping to provide moderation for any comments or questions based on the thoughts that I just shared.
Hello, Shawn. It was Terry. This is Terry Teegee that introduced you.
Oh, Terry, I should have recognized your name. Good to hear your voice.
Yeah. Currently, I think if there are questions out there that attendees can just post them on the Q&A or the chat feature. Not sure. Currently, there's only a limited amount of people on the line that could communicate, just mainly the panelists.
Okay, absolutely. We can participate in that fashion, Terry. But I think this is a really important effort that's being undertaken because even though this conversation has moved a long ways, I think there's still a large gap in understanding about the developments in this area and its impacts or implications on our title rights and treaty rights. And I really applaud you, Terry, and the others who are taking leadership role in this. And I think we should absolutely be taking these efforts to a whole new level. And would love to also pick up some of this conversation at the Energy and Mining Summit in Niagara Falls this June. Because really it is about, more broadly, the issue of energy and our relationship around energy. And this is one example, obviously, the development of the carbon trading market systems that have been emerging. It's felt a little bit like the Wild West out there, a mad rush to develop the system and to develop and generate profit and revenues around it. And it has lots of implications, and so I think the quicker we move to become aware and to occupy and to participate, I think the better off our positioning will be, particularly if we as I said at the outset, draw from our strength, which is if we can find a way to really work together as First Nations, not only across Canada, but perhaps because our summit is an international one this June, take advantage of the international aspect of this conversation and continue to build on your efforts here. So thanks very much, Terry. We'll absolutely engage in a commentary and Q&A then.
Actually, I see a couple of questions here. Maybe we'll take a couple. The first question is, what are the best points of entry for First Nations to influence climate change policy or development of carbon markets?
Can you hear me okay, Terry?
Yep.
Well, I think, obviously I believe that this conversation is a place to start, because we need to ensure that we are getting on the radar, as with any policy development of the government, to ensure that our title rights are recognized and respected. I think the participation in international forums, such as the climate change talks, is going to be critical to build that strength as an Indigenous peoples globally. But I'm particularly appreciative of the presentation that was pulled together by the SEER organization. I think that's an important package that Rosemary Dohan and Vivek Vora have created about the existing and emerging carbon markets, and that this is really something that we as First Nations must, in my view, collectively put our effort behind. Otherwise, these markets develop, and we only end up being either reacting to the market development that others are doing, and in my view, we need to be involved in the very market system development. And as governments look to establish regulations and build them and then amend them, we need to ensure that title rights and treaty rights are protected. And I believe that these conversations can help us to ensure that our collective voice is inserted into the policy development spectrum as well. Now, obviously, that's going to be both domestic as far as within Canada, but it'll also be international because of the development of the carbon market trading systems elsewhere. But I believe, Terry, that you're going to have webinar presenters that are going to be able to drill down into the details as far as the response that goes. Just from a broad policy and rights perspective, I think for the Assembly of First Nations to be part of the team that includes Carriers to Canny, other groups like SEER, that together we should ensure that we jointly develop a shared sense, a shared strategy about how we make sure that we are included in the market system development and application.
Okay, thank you for your presentation. Really appreciate it. You're right. In light of the time that we have for this webinar, I think we should carry on. Thank you, and we'll carry on.
Thank you very much.
So our next presenter will do a brief introduction to forest carbon. This presenter is, I believe, the professor at the University of British Columbia in the Faculty of Forestry, Dr. Gary Bull.
Thank you. I hope that everyone can hear me. I should say before I start that Chief Shawn Atleo and I met some time ago. He referred to this energy company approaching him, and so I was fortunate enough to put together a team of students and researchers to do the analysis so that the energy company could approach him with the offer of doing a project on the west coast in Clayoquot Sound. So I'm sure Shawn meets thousands of people and probably doesn't remember the event, but I certainly remember that it was a pleasure meeting him at that time. So what I'm going to do now is to just take you through a series of slides to introduce mostly the measurement and modeling of carbon. So in order to get carbon projects going, and